Krotos Audio's Reformer Pro is a powerful and innovative plug-in effect that enables real-world animal, environmental, mechanical and other noises, from the mundane to the utterly unreal, to be generated in real time, responding to audio or MIDI input or under manual control. In this video we'll get hands-on with Reformer Pro, exploring every aspect of its functionality and showing off the amazing things it can do. In a nutshell, Reformer Pro creates unique, dynamically responsive sound effects, foley sounds and textural layers for movies, media and music that go far beyond the limits of static sample libraries. Although it can be set up to react to MIDI or played manually, both of which we'll come back to, its primary mode of usage is as an audio replacement tool, analysing the amplitude and frequency content of a live or pre-recorded audio input to generate a control signal for the playback of up to 4 mixed multi-sample libraries. Here, for example, is a tin full of beads being manipulated in various ways, the resulting sounds triggering Reformer Pro's Electronic Pro, Electronic Lasers, Gritty Electronics and Fruit and Veg libraries. Four libraries are included, and over 100 more are available to buy from the Krotos Audio shop, taking in the many and varied sounds of metal, plastic, wood, bricks, paper and other materials, as well as dogs, pens, typewriters, bicycles, angle grinders and much more. The included analysis tool application, meanwhile, makes it a cinch to turn your existing sample collection into Reformer Pro libraries. Getting started is easy. Load 4 sound libraries from the browser into the XY pad mixer, one on each corner, feed in a triggering audio signal and mix between libraries by moving the puck around. Here we're growling into the mic to generate a hybrid black leopard Bengal tiger. Hear how closely our virtual animal's voice matches the movement and dynamics of the audio input. Row, 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 row. Grr, grr, grr. Row, row. Row, row. Click the arrow to the right of the selected library's name in the browser to reveal its component multi-samples. Preview individual samples by clicking them. Adjust their start and end points with the handles in the waveform view. And mute them by clicking their speaker icons. Here we're taking all the aggressive samples out of the Bengal tiger. Other samples are now automatically swapped in to replace them during playback. To silence an entire library, click its mute button in the XY pad. Dismissing the browser calls up the visualizer, which shows the frequency response and amplitude of the process signal in the yellow and red rings, and the amplitude of the input signal in the orange ring. Row, 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 row. Below the visualizer, the master controls set the global dry, wet, mix and output volume, while the master dynamics panel houses a handy compressor for bedding the 4 voices and general dynamic control. To the left of those are the library-specific voice and transient engine controls. The voice controls adjust the responsiveness of the libraries and their playback speed. For snappy source material, such as this drum loop, the response should be set to fast. Playback speed control operates like the vary speed function on a tape deck, affecting both speed and pitch. Reformer Pro's transient engine can be deployed to tighten up the handling of transient heavy material, and is particularly useful when triggering the plugin with a drum or percussion loop in order to generate interesting rhythmic layers and tops. It separates what the software perceives to be transients from sustained elements, with the threshold control setting the input amplitude level above which those transients are triggered, and the main trans knob mixing them back in with the regular output. Tailor the shape of the transients with the attack and decay controls, and reduce or increase the range of samples used with the variation knob. As well as responding to audio input, Reformer Pro can generate its own internal virtual audio signal for self-governed playback under full control of the user and the host door's automation system. It's called Dynamic Input, and it's activated by clicking the jack plug button at the top right. Click the amplitude slider to initiate playback of the virtual audio signal, drag it left and right to alter its volume in real time, and let go to stop. Alternatively, activate continuous mode to auto-generate a constant signal. The frequency profile of the signal, and consequently sound selection within the libraries, is shaped with the frequency and bandwidth sliders, and a degree of randomness can be applied with the variation slider. 4 loaded libraries respond to the virtual audio signal just as they would to an externally generated input, and by automating the amplitude, frequency and bandwidth sliders, complex Foley sounds, effects and textures can be purpose-built in great detail. Reformer Pro can also be triggered by MIDI. Click the MIDI button in the dynamic input panel, and the amplitude and frequency parameters are handed over to MIDI inputs for modulation by velocity and note pitch. It's important to appreciate that Reformer Pro doesn't output its sounds at actual note pitches, so it can't be played like a regular sampler or synth, but for tracking the frequency movement of unpitched sound layers to musical parts, MIDI mode is ideal. To make your own Reformer Pro library, launch the separate analysis tool application by clicking the button next to the dynamic input activator. Select a folder of appropriately varied but clearly related samples for conversion, each one ideally at least a second long and mono. Then choose the sample rates you want your library to work at, add a custom thumbnail if you like, hit the Create button, give it a name and click Start. Refresh the Reformer Pro GUI to add your new library to the browser, from where it can be loaded, mixed and customized just like any other. As this hands-on video has hopefully demonstrated, Reformer Pro is a genuinely one-of-a-kind tool for sound design, Foley and music production. Try it for yourself by downloading the demo and free cut-down version, Reformer, from www.krotosaudio.com and see our review in Computer Music issue 258.